Hi, my name is Rebecca, and I'm a grateful believer and follower of Jesus Christ. It's funny that the sermon today is on hope because hope is what kept me going for a very long time. Um, I'm incredibly grateful to share the growth and healing that God has provided in my life and my family through this church and special people that God put in my life along the way. Looking back, I had a pretty typical childhood. It was expected that I would attend church with my family on Sundays, and I did. I was baptized as a child and went through confirmation in middle school, as most kids do in the Lutheran church. It was here at church that I was taught that God was a loving God and that I couldn't earn his love or my salvation by my actions. And it's a good thing, too, because I would have failed miserably. Growing up, I was fearful of not being accepted by others and found that I gravitated towards people who thought I could help or fix their problems. At the time, I thought I was being a good friend, but now I realize this was codependent behavior and was very unhealthy. I continued to try to control or manipulate others for a long time, not realizing that I was basically saying that I knew better than God did. I was a believer, but my actions didn't really demonstrate that. I had a good time in college, joined a sorority, and started to date my best friend and now husband during these years. I continued my codependent tendencies in this relationship as well. When we got married, I thought I could change my husband to be the person I thought he should be. Needless to say, that didn't happen. I've been here at SouthCrest for over 14 years, and for most of that time, I put a mask on every Sunday. I came to church, served, and even joined a few life groups. On the outside, it appeared that life was good, but it was a lie. The truth was, I was in a dysfunctional marriage, raising my children in a dysfunctional family, and full of shame and guilt. I carried years of hurt from having a spouse who struggled with an addiction to alcohol. I was controlling, manipulative, prideful, and very judgmental. I was consumed with fear and anxiety daily. I had a relationship with God, but it was a selfish one. I would often resort to prayer only when things were bad and I wanted God to do something for me. When I prayed, I often didn't ask God for what his will was because I wanted him to do what I thought he should do. I was a believer, but not really a true follower of Jesus Christ. A little over 5 years ago, I reached my lowest point. I couldn't continue to live my dysfunctional lifestyle and was on the verge of leaving my husband. I had hit my rock bottom. I couldn't continue to do things my way. I was tired of letting fear, hurt, and my need for control motivate my actions. God showed me that he wanted me to work on my relationship with him instead of trying to play God myself. When I started to listen to God during my prayer time, he told me that he would use my husband's story if I would let him. I shared this with my husband and hoped that one day it would happen, but I didn't expect it. At this time, I realized that I needed to get out of the way and yield to God's plan, whatever it was. And God did show up. We attended Celebrate Recovery and began to focus on healing our individual hurts. I used to think that Celebrate Recovery was only for people struggling with addiction and didn't realize that I could benefit from it too. The reality is, CR is for anyone who struggles or anyone who has a struggle that gets in the way of their relationship with God, which is basically all of us. I certainly had my own issues that got in the way of my relationship with God and others that I loved. God showed me that while I was hurting, I also hurt my husband by being judgmental and condemning for years. I had my own flaws that I didn't want to see. It was easier for me to point out all the wrong things that my husband did. Luke 6:42 says, "How can you think of saying, 'Friend, let me help you get rid of that speck in your eye,' when you can't see past the log in your own eye? Hypocrite, first get rid of the log in your own eye, then you will see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye." This was incredibly humbling for me. Over the past 5 years, God has brought unbelievable healing and restoration to myself, my marriage, and my family. He has healed my hurts, helped me work through forgiveness, and given me peace. I no longer try to control my loved ones out of fear or hurt. God took the guilt that I carried for raising my children in a dysfunctional home and gave me peace. When I disagree with others, I've learned to pray for guidance before responding instead of reacting based on my feelings. My relationship with God isn't as self-centered as it used to be, and I've grown closer to him. Since working on my trust issues, it's easier for me to trust God and ask for his will to be done in my life. I'm far from perfect, and that's okay. God continues to show me new character defects that He wants me to work on. I've struggled with feelings of inadequacy, anxiety, and even depression, but I'm also able to see the tremendous growth and healing that God has provided. I'm grateful that God is strong in my weakness, and He will use my struggles for His glory if I let Him, just as I see Him use my husbands to help others. Although it was painful to go through, I wouldn't change things because I know that God uses it for His glory. 1 Peter 1:6 says, "In all this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes, even though refined by fire, may result in praise, glory, and honor when Christ is revealed." If you are a new believer, old believer, or even if you're not a believer yet, know that God loves you more than you can understand. Know that He doesn't expect you to get your act together or to be a good Christian to earn His love. You already have it. Know that whatever sin is keeping you from growing in your relationship with Christ, He already knows about it and wants to take it from you. That's why He died on the cross. Know that you are not alone in your struggle and that you don't have to put on a mask like I did every Sunday and act like everything is great. Know that healing and restoration is possible. We must give it to Him, trusting His timing and be obedient. I hope that the story of what God has done in my life gives hope to someone today. Thank you for letting me share.